Welcome to the JCPS MTSS Classroom Systems that Support Behavior Toolkit training on the application choice. I'm Dominique Dobson-Penn, MTSS Engagement Resource Teacher with the Elementary AIS Zone.
Hi, I'm April Bemker, MTSS Engagement Resource Teacher with the AIS Zone, working with middle and high schools.
Please take a moment to type the case-sensitive bit.ly into your web browser or jot it down. This will allow you access to all the links for the activities and resources offered throughout the presentation. This slide shows the components of multi-tiered systems of support, also known as MTSS. MTSS focuses on overall school improvement by aligning resources and support for both teachers and students. We provide multiple levels of support for learners that address academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs, and produce professional development that is aligned with schools and the district as a whole. This is the concept map that shows a visual of the MTSS departments in JCPS. The MTSS Academic Department provides teachers with Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention and academic support. This department is led by Donna Lawson. The MTSS Behavior Department supports schools in implementing school-wide behavior systems and frameworks, which includes PBIS and restorative practices. The point of contact for the Behavior Department is Sandra Hensel. The goal of our department, the MTSS Engagement Department, is to increase student achievement by equipping teachers with high-yield pedagogical practices to maximize student engagement. The supervisor and point of contact for our department is Dr. Naomi Brahim. The point of contact for each department is located in the concept map as well. There are 6 MTSS toolkits, and they were created by our department to provide resources for Tier 1 instructional practices to increase student engagement, reduce student behaviors, and decrease disproportionality. Here are the 6 MTSS toolkits. The website is linked on this image. The application of choice is included in our classroom systems that support student behavior toolkit. These systems use academic and behavior data to put short and long-term supports in place to help students be successful. Within the Classroom Systems Toolkit, there are 3 research-based high-yield practices that are foundational and all should be used to help students be successful. It's important to note that these practices should be implemented first. Within these practices, the application of choice should be used where appropriate. In looking at the first high-yield practice, student-teacher relationships require a teacher to interact with students positively in order to cultivate optimal environments, which should result in fewer problem behaviors from students. Note that teachers have the majority of the responsibility for the quality of relationships with students. The second HYP is classroom management and classroom behavioral practices. One of the major predictors for student success in any classroom is having established rules and expectations in the classroom and engaging effective strategies to maintain a positive climate. Clear rules with consistent feedback and enforcement will help lead to increased student self-control. The last HYP in this toolkit is centered around teacher expectations of performance. Communicating high expectations and providing feedback on performance related to those expectations will impact student achievement and behavior. Teachers should regularly communicate expectations, teach, prompt, and encourage student success. They should emphasize growth and progress. Offering choices to your students should be a core strategy that you use on a regular basis when possible. With choice making, you provide a student with 2 equal options, one of which is the original request and the other of which is a different, but equally important and demanding task. The key is to put the decision making on the student so he or she can take responsibility for making some of the decisions. It's important noting that while this definition describes offering choice to an individual student, it's also a valuable application to use with an entire class. Before we dive into more specifics of choice, let's talk about tiered or layered supports. Notice the graphic on the slide showing 3 levels of support, starting with Tier 1 for all the students being the foundation. Tier 2 supports layered on top and provided in addition to Tier 1 for a small percentage of students. With Tier 3 layered on both of these and provided for an even smaller percentage of students. So, our focus for today's training, choice, can be used at all support levels. You should offer choice in a variety of ways for all students. As we mentioned on the previous slide, you should also offer choice options along with or within other strategies provided as Tier 2 or Tier 3 supports. We will see an example of this later in this training. Successful implementation is when the teacher enables choice to convince a student to complete a wanted task by presenting them with 2 equally rigorous tasks and following the student to choose which one to complete first. In today's training, we will explore how offering choice to students can help address misbehaviors. You will be given the opportunity to identify ways to offer choice in your classroom to improve student behavior. Let's look at the scenario that could happen with a student in your classroom. After instructing students to work on finishing their projects, Johnny is not working. The teacher talks to Johnny individually and says, "Johnny, you should get your project finished this morning." Johnny's response is, "No way." Take a moment to think about the following. What might you do in this situation? Now consider how you might offer choice. What would you say or do? This slide shows how you might use choice in this situation. You could say, "Johnny, I want you to make a choice. You get to decide. You can either get your math project done or you can get started on your writing assignment. It's totally up to you. Which one?" In this scenario, Johnny chooses the math project, and using choice as your strategy to get Johnny to comply was successful.
Now let's look at why you might offer students choice. This slide provides some of the reasons, such as it's a way of building rapport, of empowering the student, it can prevent a power struggle, and it helps make the student feel engaged and a part of the decision-making process. Offering choice also helps to decrease conflicts, refusals, defiance, and opposition. When should you offer choice? As mentioned earlier, offering students choices should be a regular part of classroom management. It should be used when giving a directive or when a student makes excuses or is reluctant to do something or is argumentative, oppositional, or defiant. One important note, you should also offer choices when giving rewards or consequences too, not just when assigning work. Now let's look at how to do it. You want to speak in a calm, neutral tone when discussing choice options. Make sure to provide the student with 2 or more choices that you will fully accept. Consider giving the student a time frame, like 10 seconds, to make their decision, or you will choose for them. As mentioned earlier, when we reviewed the definition, present the entire class or group with choices when assigning work or tasks. Also, as we just mentioned on the previous slide, give choices when offering a reward. In this video clip, we will get to see the strategy in action. As you're watching, pay attention to what actions lead to success.
With choice is a strategy for building compliance. But in this strategy, the choices are still selected by the teacher, and both choices are similar in terms of work and effort. For many students, being told to do something is perceived as a challenge, an adult trying to get the student to concede his or her personal autonomy. For many of these students, the feeling or even illusion of having some choice is sufficient to facilitate compliance. When students have demonstrated a likelihood to refuse compliance with specific tasks, the teacher can offer a choice between two or more similar tasks. This is not an ultimatum. It's not a choice between compliance or consequence. It's a choice between two similar types of tasks. When providing the choice, the teacher must plan ahead and develop alternatives to become part of the student's choice. The idea is to have options that are equally challenging and beneficial, but the students get to have the choice of which to take on. Let's take a look at an example of using choice with a student who has trouble getting started.
Hey guys, let's start group work. Hey, how's everybody doing? We ready to go? Nina, why don't you come over and join the group?
No, I'm sick of this.
Nina, if you'll just join the group, I know we can get this done in no time.
I'm not going
What's the problem, Nina? I just need you to join the group.
because I hate it.
Look, here's what I'm going to do. Today we're working on either group work or the PBL project. And I understand that you're very mature, you're older, and you always work with me, so I'm going to give you two choices, the group work or the project. And I trust you to make a great choice. What do you think you'd like to do?
I want to work on the computer.
The choices are the group work or the, Isaac, you can go ahead and sharpen your pencil. Your choices are the group work or the PBL project. Look, I know you can make a great choice here because I trust you to make great choices. So what would you like to do?
I guess I'll do the group work.
That's a great choice. Fantastic idea. Nina, why don't you go ahead and join the group?
Note that the teacher didn't directly respond to the student's request to read. They simply restated the available choices. In this next example, the teacher can feel that the class is beginning to slip in its attention to task and group projects and is using a form of choice across the entire class.
Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice. Clap 3 times. Guys, I appreciate all your hard work, and we've been working on multiplying fractions like crazy, and it's getting a little bit mundane. So here's what I want to do today. I want to give you guys a choice in class. I'm going to give you a choice of 3 things. You can either work on stages, you can work on your PBL project groups, or you can go back and work in a computer station. So I want you to think about it for a few seconds, which one you'd like to do, and when I say go, I'd just like you to get up, go to the station that you'd like to work in for the rest of class. Does everybody understand that? All right, go ahead and choose your stations.
This is a form of choice because both options are important and equal work. But providing this choice may make the students more likely to get back to an attention to task.
Some things we saw or that were mentioned in the video is that choice should not be used as an ultimatum. It's not a choice between compliance or consequences. Choices given to students should be between 2 similar tasks. Choices should be equally challenging and beneficial. Do not respond to the student's non-compliance option. Simply restate the choices they were presented. As mentioned before, choice can be applied to the whole class, especially when needed to get students to focus attention back to their task. We've covered, key steps to implement. First, identify a student who refuses or is reluctant to engage in a required activity. Number 2, plan choice options. As mentioned before, choices must be equal in effort and time requirements. Choices must be appropriate and beneficial to students. Find times and conditions when a choice is appropriate for the teacher. Third, provide student with 2 preferred options. Make clear that the choice belongs to the student. Teach how to make a choice by sequencing paired options. Present choice opportunities in a consistent manner as part of task directions. Reinforce choice making. Fourth, monitor to assess success. Assess whether the student is making a choice. Assess whether the student misbehaviors decrease as a result. And last, fade choice opportunities by building on success. This slide shows an example from a JCPS 2nd grade teacher. She describes how she uses choice with her students after they've completed a task and the importance of scaffolding the process. Another example of using choice is in conjunction with another behavior strategy that is Tier 2 called Check-in, Check-out, or CICO. CICO is used with a small percentage of students who need additional support with behavior success. It involves a student checking in with a caring adult at the beginning of the day to set goals, the student's teachers rewarding points to the student throughout the day tied to those goals, and the student checking in with their caring adult again at the end of the day. For greatest success, incorporate choice for the types of rewards the student can receive for the points they earn during CICO. If you would like training on or resources for CICO, please reach out to your district MTSS behavior resource teacher or to Sandra Hensel, whose contact info is linked on slide 3 in this presentation. We've covered quite a bit of material related to offering students choice. Take a moment to reflect and plan how you might incorporate choice within your classroom. Consider whole class possibilities as well as individual students you have who could benefit from this strategy. Consider and plan for any challenges you think you might encounter. Pause the video if needed to take more time to reflect and plan. Some things to consider when offering choice. First and foremost, it's important that the choices you offer are equal and do not constitute an ultimatum. Sometimes the illusion of choice is just as good as choice, especially for younger students. Giving them a choice between 2 equal books is obvious, but a choice between writing with a pencil or a pen might also work similarly. If you have a student who refuses to decide, even when given a time limit to decide, you may need to move to try another strategy. Choice is also a good way to remind students of consequences. Teachers that approach their behavior support system through a lens of equity undoes systemic oppression and removes barriers for learning. Teachers must be mindful of cultural norms for students. To create a communal environment, students must be appreciated within their own distinct intersectionality, race, ethnicity, gender, ability, language, and socioeconomic background, so they can become outstanding citizens in the classroom and community. Students with exceptional needs may require additional behavioral supports to be successful in the classroom. With students who are exhibiting a particular problem behavior, consider using a functional behavioral assessment, or FBA, to collect data to determine the function or purpose of a behavior and to define the occasions in which the behavior takes place. Classrooms that foster deeper learning empower students to be more independent and take a more active role in their learning process, creating a highly collaborative classroom where teachers frequently model, assess, and offer feedback on listening, paraphrasing, artful questioning, and negotiating sets the stage for deeper learning to occur. For this type of engagement in PBL, teachers need to design systems and structures that facilitate collaboration and creativity. When reflecting on your own practice, consider the following as possible next steps for dealing with classroom misbehaviors. Record the number of times a student has been asked to complete a task and his or her typical positive response rate. Track the number of choice requests provided to determine whether it is working and is in need of fading. Track the number of repetitions of the choice that are necessary to see student initiation of a response. Be sure to reference the Classroom Systems Toolkit for more information. This slide includes supports from the MTSS plan and JCPS behavior intervention grid. There's a link on this slide to that grid. This grid gives potential interventions for commonly seen classroom misbehaviors. With the bit.ly we provided at the beginning of this training, you will have access to explore these resources for more information on choice, as well as other positive behavior supports that you could use with your classes. Thank you for joining us today to learn more about student choice. For more information about our department and our instructional toolkits, please visit our website, which is linked on this slide. Have a great day.